Let's talk about California. I remember you said your grandpa come get you and your sister from your dad's house because they weren't taking care of your property. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so I was on the couch one night at this girlfriend's house. I wasn't on the couch, like I went to sleep on the couch from the bed because I was hot. I hear a knock on the door. It's just like a whole bunch of just like talking. I hear my grandfather. He's like, "Get up, get your stuff, get everything."
Right.
And so the girlfriend, she got my dad on the phone, and my grandfather was like, "Yeah, I'm taking my grandkids, and I'll see you in court."
Wow.
So, he did it in the middle of the night. My grandfather's a smooth criminal, very, very calculated type of personality.
Yeah.
So he brought us up to San Jose. He was married at the time in a toxic relationship. And so he just began raising us. Like, I just remember life getting better after that. My older sister, who spent more time with my dad and who had definitely went through more abuse, she had like a lot of issues, a lot of anger issues, because my father was physically abusive to her.
Okay.
And like my grandfather and her, just like had like a little rough patch at the beginning. And it was crazy because I was thinking to myself, dang, we're just in another bad environment. Like, even at that young age, I was 3 when that happened. But he became very understanding of her, and her attitude changed. And I just remember, like, he cook every morning. He would have breakfast for us every morning. Like, we never missed a meal. My grandfather always had food in the house. My grandfather was a military man, so he always was clean, and he's a baby boomer too. So, every Sunday morning, gospel music, Tremaine Hawkins, who else? The woman who made Aretha Franklin, like Mary Don't You Leave. You feel me? So it's just like that thing. And then unfortunately, him and his wife's toxic relationship, it just became apparent. Like, she left and came back a few times, and I just didn't understand. Like, at one point they separated. In that first apartment we moved to, he ended up getting an apartment, another apartment in the same unit because they couldn't live together. And so we were with him and stuff like that. And I didn't understand this at the time, but we were with him in that other apartment. She was in her apartment. And my grandfather worked at a casino. He was a dealer. And so he would work all night. He'd come home. I remember one morning he came home and he fixed us breakfast, and he didn't come out of the bathroom. So I went in the bathroom because he was in there for 30 minutes and he was asleep on the toilet.
Wow.
And he was a very hardworking man. He did everything he could, so eventually him and her got back together. We ended up moving to Pleasanton, California, to the suburbs. We always lived in the suburbs. We never lived in the hood. We always lived with white people. So that was great, except his toxic relationship with her. I'm running back to San Jose. So now I'm remembering when I told you his both my grandfather's parents died. My grandfather went and got his father from Florida. He was sickly. And so one memorable memory that I have of that is I think it was a Christmas. And so my dad came to visit, and basically it was my great grandfather, my grandfather, and my dad all in one. And that was like very, very memorable.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think even like a few other people, like my cousins, came over for a few Christmases or whatever. But yeah, he died like 2 months later. Yeah. And then so going back, yeah, so he gets back with the ex-wife. We moved to California. We moved to Pleasanton. I ended up in Donlin Elementary School in Pleasanton, California. He was still having issues with the wife. Like, they would argue bad. Like, she called the police on him, told them that he said that he was going to put her out in a box. And one time we went to visit my uncle. This was before my uncle died. We went to visit him Because when we were in Pleasanton is basically like the culmination of everything. Like my uncle dying, my brother dying, me seeing my brother for the first time, and him dying. That's when all that happened. When we moved to Pleasanton, so we went to see my uncle for the last time when we was living in Pleasanton, and this is when my uncle was in the wheelchair. The last time I saw my uncle, one thing about my uncle, he loved me very, very dearly. Every single time I saw my uncle, he had a present for me. And this very last time, he pulled a makeup kit from behind his wheelchair when I saw him last. And
I'm so sorry, Tosh.
And then he passed away. So that happened, and then I ended up seeing my brother, like I said, for the first time. Like my dad would be in and out when we was in Pleasanton also, but he would come visit us, and then him and my grandfather would fall out, and then he would disappear again, and then he would come back. So at one point, this is when I saw my brother for the first time when we was in when we were in Pleasanton. We went to visit him, and so we went to the hospital, and we didn't know it was who he was at first. We were looking at this other child who was laid out in a bed, and then we saw who he was finally. And a brother was just like me, super light skin, curly hair. He was tall. My brother and Suge Knight Sr. have the same birthday, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we went to see him, and my grandfather said, "Come see your brother." And like my brother was like so severely disabled from the accident that he couldn't talk, he couldn't do nothing. He was very severely so he told me, "Come see my brother," and I looked at him, and my brother smiled at me, like he knew who I was, like my grandfather said, like, touch him. So I touched his arms, like I just touched his legs, like he looked at me, I touched his face. He knew who I was. And like I said, like a little while later, he was dead. At this point, like I'm just like in school and stuff like that. I'm around a whole bunch of white kids. I didn't even know I was light skinned until I asked my grandfather, why it was that, I didn't look like everybody else in the family, and so I discovered stuff like that. I'm looking at all these people having their moms at school, so one day I'm like, "Grandpa, like, where's my mom?" Like, and what happened and stuff like that. And he explained what happened and stuff. And I said, I want to meet her, I want to meet my mom. So I didn't meet her, until I was like, I would say 6 or 7. We drove to Los Angeles, and my dad was there too. We went to an amusement attraction called the Ferry. And the first time I saw her, like, she just hopped out the car. My mom back then, just like right now, just super lively, just super loud, like, just like that fun hot girl, So I saw her, and it was good times. We had good times. And then she started visiting, like once or twice a year when we was in California. And then my grandfather ended up getting his 100% disability. And that's how we ended up in South Carolina. And yeah, that was the end of California. California, after I was taken, from my father, it was good times besides, the dysfunction. We had wonderful Christmases, so many presents under the Christmas tree, like, always food in the house, it's just like the only thing I would say wasn't, just like all the best was, my grandfather, he was very big on fashion, so he would just, like buy us, the Walmart clothes, the 2 pieces and stuff like that.
But too, like, he was a working man, and maybe like he doesn't have that much money to spare, so he's more worried about feeding you guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Keep the lights on, and he doesn't have the money to go to the mall to buy the latest and greatest. But at least he did the best he could. You know what I mean?
100%. And then after his wife, that wife left him. So, this is what I didn't tell you. So when we got back from visiting my uncle, basically, his wife had decided to leave him permanently. So we came back, and all her stuff was just boxed up. Wow. Yeah, and that was very traumatic for me. Like, he just asked her, he was like, "What's going on?" She was just like, it was over with. And I was just very, very heartbroken. I was just like, that's crazy. And I was crying real bad. And he was like, she's not your real grandmother, like, so that the blow a little bit, less bad, but I still felt abandoned. But when so basically after that, my grandfather's twin sister moved in. So the matriarch and patriarch of our family, George and Mary, the twins, like I said, they had 11 brothers and sisters. So she moved in with us to help him raise us. And basically then we started getting more in contact with her side of the family, which is her son, her only son, and his 4 sons. And like I told you guys before, we spent time with them at their place in Southern California. Her son was married to a white woman. So my cousins are mixed. And so we moved them to South Carolina, bottom part of the map. And then, we moved. And that's when I was in the 4th grade. I started 5th grade in South Carolina. When I left, we saw my ex step grandmother again. Like, we ended up stopping at her house just like overnight. And then we left and we moved to South Carolina.
Okay.
Wow.
All right.